Hi, I'm Penny Dick's AstroCoach. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me here today for the astrological overview of all the energies we can expect for the month of July 2021. I will start with an overview of the month ahead, and then that'll be followed by your individual zodiac signs. Before I start, I really want to thank the enormous amount of people who have recently subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I really value you being here. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed and would like to, I'd love that too. All you have to do is click on subscribe, and if you want notifications, click on the bell that's at the side of the word subscribe. Also, while we're on the business side of the video, if you would like a one-to-one astro coaching session with me to make sense of your own natal chart and your direction in life, then please get in touch with me. My website is at the bottom of the video, but it'll also be in the description box underneath the video. And when you've seen the overview, if you want to leap straight ahead to your particular zodiac sign, they are all time-stamped. So all you have to do is click on show more, or the little arrow that points downwards. I think it does. And anyway, the description box will drop down and you'll see each of your signs are time-stamped. Just click on the time for the sign that you particularly want to listen to or watch. Okay, moving swiftly on to the energies of July. So we start with the sun in Cancer until the 23rd. So we have that lovely moon energy from the sign of Cancer. And then on the 23rd, the sun will move into Leo. We have 4 of the outer planets retrograde from now really until the beginning couple of weeks of October. We've got Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. Jupiter has just dabbled his toes in there and just had a little look at the lay of the land. Jupiter's going to move back into Aquarius on the 29th of this month and do a bit of, I think, housework and tidying up and just generally sort things out in Aquarius. Saturn, of course, is retrograde in Aquarius. And Saturn, remember, is still caught in this harsh square to Uranus. That's the only one of our big boys that is forging ahead in Taurus, causing mayhem. So we still have that hard square. And with a retrograde, I think we're just going to see, it's a little bit like we may still keep getting a feeling like we've been here before. It's like the Groundhog Day. So I think there are still going to be, I wish I could tell you otherwise, but I do feel there are still going to be challenges. We've also got Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Now, for part of the month, Neptune is going to be squared by Mercury in Gemini. Now, Mercury went direct on the 22nd of June, but he's only going to be in this square with Neptune until the 12th when Mercury will move into Cancer. So what does this mean? Well, Mercury is about news, information, social media, communication, the spoken word, the written word. Neptune is about illusion. It can be deception. It can be lies. It's about the veils that cover things, that it's difficult sometimes to see through these kind of smoky windows, to see what the truth is, what's really going on. So just be aware of that energy and, perhaps pay a little bit of attention to what's going on in the news. Don't perhaps believe everything you hear. So whatever news may emerge, in the first part of July, look for the evidence. That's always the best place to start. We've, of course, still got Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, and Pluto is about deconstruction of outworn systems and governments. So that energy is just still around. So what else have we got going on? Well, we have Mars and Venus. Mars, masculine energy, action, aggression, sexuality. And we have Venus, who is love, relationships, attraction. It's also about value and money and possessions. They are both going to get really close to each other in the sign of Leo. And that'll be till the end of the month approximately. So on the surface, that sounds quite good because, as I say, Mars, Venus, masculine, feminine, it sounds like it could be good for relationships. Certainly in the sign of Leo, I think there could be some fun to be had and, you know, gosh, don't we need it? So there's that element to it, but there's a kind of caveat to it because Saturn in Aquarius is opposing Mars and Venus in Leo. Saturn slows things down. Saturn is about rules. Saturn is about structure. Saturn is about tradition. So if you've got Venus and Mars in Leo, a fire sign, full of energy, but fixed, Saturn is in Aquarius that is fixed, but an air sign, you can see that there could be some heavy-handed rules that get imposed on people, whether that's on an individual level or whether that's on a grander world scale. We will have to wait and see. But it could be that as restrictions start to ease and people just want to get out there and have fun, you know, it reminds me of that song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And so it's like, you know, the world just wants to have fun. And this can be a little bit like the heavy hand of the law coming down and saying, no, slow down, not yet, it's too soon. So we just have to find a way to find a middle road, I think, with that energy. So we have a new moon on the 10th in Cancer, and the full moon is on the 24th in Aquarius. I'm not going to go into the energies of these particular lunations now, because as you probably all know by now, I do live video streams on Facebook for both of these lunations, and then I upload them. Well, actually, that's not quite true. My lovely assistant and tech guy, Jerry, uploads them to me, for me, to YouTube. So thanks, Jerry. And so I'm not going to go into those now. What I am going to do is let you sit back, and if you want to click on that timestamp, now's a good time to do it, and enjoy what lies ahead for the month of July. Thank you so much for joining me. Aries, okay. This is for the Sun in Aries or for the Ascendant. I'm going to start off by looking at what's going on in the inner you, Aries. Not a place you particularly enjoy going to, depending, of course, what else is going on in your chart. But your 12th house, which is about the inner you, is Pisces. And Pisces is very much this kind of energy of going within. It's mysterious. It's the supernatural. It's about other worlds. And we have both the planets Jupiter and Neptune in this part of your chart currently going retrograde. What do I think this means for you? Well, Jupiter, remember, expands. Jupiter is also about luck. it's also about being able to see through the veils, which Neptune can't always do. So for me, Jupiter is giving you a wonderful opportunity to really start digging deep into that Aries psyche of yours, to really know what makes you tick. And you're going to get a taste of it now, which is what's happened with Jupiter moving into this part of your chart. Then Jupiter will go back into your 11th house to give a bit of a boost to what Saturn's up to there, that's also retrograde. And then when you have Jupiter fully in this part of your chart next year, then I think you could change quite profoundly. But just going back to that 11th house and Saturn retrograde there, you have Uranus in your 2nd house, Taurus. And my sense is you've just got to be a little bit careful that you don't overspend, because Uranus can make us do sort of unexpected behavior, or it could be unexpected expenses. So bearing in mind that Saturn's retrograde, so it's kind of taking away, my kind of sense of that is just be a little bit careful of that. We've also got Mercury in Gemini in your 3rd house of communication and social media. For the first part of the month, Mercury is squaring, which is a hard, challenging angle, Neptune in your 12th. One of the first things I want to say is don't believe everything you think, because I think Neptune is going to really sort of throw a smoke screen in the way you're looking at things, so that it's difficult for you to actually really get to the truth of what's going on in certain parts of your life. So just bear that in mind. In your 5th house of fun, creativity, romance, amongst other things, children, if you have children, we have this month the planet Mars and the planet Venus. Now, Mars is all about action, energy, sexuality. It can also be aggression, so it can be quite feisty. And Venus is there as well, which is about relationship. So, having Venus in the 5th, which is Leo for you, and it is actually the Leo house, I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of romance going on for you. Hopefully it'll be harmless flirtation, but it may lead to something more. The only problem you have with this particular aspect is that Saturn, remember Saturn's retrograde in your 11th house of hopes and wishes, is in opposition to both Mars and Venus. Now, Saturn is about rules. So I just think you have to be careful that you'll have to work out for yourself what this means. But I think it's about sticking to the rules, because if you don't, you could get unstuck. So just bear that in mind. We have a new moon in Cancer on the 4th, on the 10th in your 4th house of Cancer. And I will go into that when I do my live full new moon video later this month. But basically, I think it's going to give you a fresh chance to make your living space comfortable, to spring clean sweep. It's a nice lunation for you. The full moon this month is in Aquarius, and that's on the 24th. And that's, again, your 11th house where retrograde Saturn is. But that could be quite a nice full moon for you. I think bring you some perhaps closure on things that have gone past their sell-by date. Maybe there are certain people in your life that just don't kind of fit with where you are now. And actually, it's good to set each other free. You have a key word for the month. And your key word, Aries, for this month is relax. Just take it easy. Give yourself some time off and have fun. Thank you, Aries, for joining me for your overview for the month of July. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now. Hi, Taurus. Sun in Taurus or the Ascendant in Taurus? Okay, let's go. So, wow, aren't you changing? My goodness. I think you've got to go back and refine a few things, but what I'm thinking about is Uranus in Taurus in your first house, steaming ahead at the moment through your sign. And I really think that you're enjoying riding with that wave of change, disruption, and kind of having new ideas, innovation. I think this has just been a wonderful and is a wonderful experience for you, Taurus. If you're using the energy constructively and not hiding in your comfy chair going, oh, no, I don't like change, I like routine. And what with Saturn up there in your house of work, career, and public sort of image, public profile, in your 10th house, which is Aquarius. Now, Saturn is now retrograde. Now, remember, these boys are making this hard square all year, really. You've had an exact hit in June. That would have kind of reminded you perhaps to slow down or actually really look at better ways to put yourself in how you work, your business, your career, and that you've had to perhaps find some different ways. It feels like you've been learning some hard lessons, Taurus. And for those of you that are listening and doing the work that Saturn is asking of you, to roll with the twists and turns that Uranus is presenting, you will do exceedingly well. Let's also look at Pisces in your 11th house, which is the part of your chart that is to do with hopes, dreams, wishes, and projects and larger groups of people. And we have Jupiter and Neptune retrograde here currently. Now, the fact that they're retrograde in this part of your chart, I think is just giving you actually a well-earned kind of breather to just kind of sit back and think, what is it I really, really want to manifest? What do I need to do? How do I need to just kind of look at different ways? You know, Jupiter, as I was saying in Aries, has no boundaries. I think you can see, Taurus, that for someone that is so fixed, the sky could be the limit, or maybe not. So it's just, I think, with your ideas and plans, think big, really think big. You're being given a chance to just go back and regroup and see how you can approach these things from perhaps a more appropriate angle. Neptune may just throw a little bit of kind of confusion into it, that you might not always be sure that what you're thinking is appropriate or true, or what is the best way to go. Because Mercury in Gemini is actually in your 2nd house, but making a hard square to Neptune in the 11th. So there may be parts of you that are thinking, oh, but you know, this is going to cost money. And if I really want to get these projects going, I'm going to have to actually put my hand in my pocket or in my piggy bank. And I think that actually what this energy is saying is, yes, Taurus, we know. So slow down. You don't have to run before you can walk. Take your time, because actually, you know what? You've got plenty of time. You could actually take a little bit of time off this summer, Taurus, and just rest a bit. But let's just move on to Mars and Venus that are in your area of your chart connected with your home, your 4th house, Leo, because they are opposing Saturn in your 10th, your house of career, in Aquarius, on and off a lot of the month. Now, I really feel that this energy is saying, Saturn for me is saying, just go back and kind of look at what you've achieved so far, see how you can actually tweak it and make it better. You know, structure, rules, discipline. And Mars and Venus down there in your house of home, there's this bit of you, I think, which is quite playful and just wants to have some fun. And that's fine. But I think it's about balance. And actually, that's your key word for the month, balance. So try and get this balance, sort of, you know, what is it they used to say? All work and no play, you know, makes you dull. And get that balance. That's the important thing. And you've got a new moon in Cancer on the 10th in your house of communication, the 3rd house. And you've got a full moon on the 24th in Aquarius. And that's in your house of career. So there's some exciting opportunities coming up with that new and full moon, which I will go into when I do the new and full moon videos later this month. So for now, Taurus, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful month, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. So this is for the Sun in Gemini or for the Ascendant. Gemini. In your 12th house, Taurus, we have transiting Uranus. Now, this is the planet of disruption, innovation, invention. Uranus is also, in a sense, the great awakener. Now, he's in your 12th house. Now, there's something about you that finds it quite hard to really go deep within. And Uranus is there to stir things up. Uranus is really asking you to do this work. All year, as you know, and for the rest of the year, we have this difficult angle between Uranus in Taurus and Saturn in Aquarius, which is your 9th house. Now, the 9th house is very much about higher learning. It's about knowledge. It's also about travel. My sense with this is that Uranus is still inviting you to do that inner work, to meditate, to go within. I don't think it's something you find particularly easy, Gemini, because you are quite cerebral. You have quick thinking. You're a quick mind. You're humorous. You're sharp. And sometimes you miss what's going on that inner level. And because your ruling planet, Mercury, is in your 1st house at the moment, and Mercury is squaring Neptune that is in the 10th, which is Pisces. Jupiter is there as well. So we've got Jupiter and Neptune, both retrograde in your 10th house, which is all about your public image and your work. There's something about this energy that is asking you to really go within, think about quite seriously how you want people to see you in the outer world. Because I think people don't always get you. They don't always understand you. And I think sometimes there's a part of you that is quite insecure. And you put on this sort of Gemini, fun, communicative person. Whereas actually inside you're feeling quite, just quite insubstantial. Gemini, Uranus is giving you in your 12th house a wonderful chance to really, really, really find and ground yourself in a good, sound knowledge of the inner you. Now, Leo, which is your 3rd house of communication, has both Mars and Venus here for a large part of the month. And they're opposite. Saturn that's retrograde in your 9th house of Aquarius. How it is there's this part of you that doesn't really want to have to deal with the details. But Saturn is really reining you in and saying it's important to know yourself, that to move forward, to really, really use this lovely Mars-Venus energy in the 3rd, in Leo, that to really use that energy and you can have some really feisty conversations. But it's got to come from that Uranus in the 12th. If you know yourself better, then the conversations you have, the communications you have, will really have that kind of grounded substance to them. They'll have a foundation. So I think that's what retrograde Saturn in your 9th is asking you to do. It's asking you to go back and just dig deeper into the knowledge that you can get from your inner self in the 12th. We have a new moon on the 10th in Cancer, and that's in your house of finance. I will come to that later in the month when I talk about the new and the full moon. And the full moon is in Aquarius in your 9th house, which is where Saturn is retrograde, and that's on the 24th. So we could see something being finalized about either learning, travel, or something in that area. But your key word for this month, Gemini, is meditate. Hi, Cancer. So this is for the Sun in Cancer or the Ascendant in Cancer. What is it that you're really, really trying to get off the ground? There's something that you are quite fixated on that you want to launch. And it's something you've been dreaming about for some time. This is Uranus in your 11th house in Taurus. And we've got Saturn, the planet of restriction and contraction, that's retrograde in your 8th house, which is Aquarius, which is all about, it can be on one level, it can be commitment, but is it something that you're ready to commit to? Because I think there's something you want to do, Cancer, that perhaps you're just not quite ready to commit to, because it would mean actually giving up some other things. Let's move on and look at what's happening in your 9th house, Pisces. This is the area of your chart that is all about higher learning. It's about travel. It's travel of the mind, not just of the body. So we have Jupiter and Neptune, these two big boys, retrograde in this part of your chart. I think what they're helping you with their retrograde phase is to just slow down, relax, go back, have a look at things again, but don't overthink things, because, you know, Jupiter expands everything. Neptune can be misinformation, it can be not seeing things clearly, it can be fantasy, it can be paranoia. So be careful that you don't get caught into that kind of thinking, because Mercury in Gemini, which is in your 12th house, will be squaring Neptune retrograde in Pisces in your 9th house. Mercury, especially when it's in Gemini that Mercury rules, is about communication. The 12th house, though, is about the inner you. This is what's going on inside that you don't necessarily tell other people about. So what is it that you might be telling yourself that actually isn't true? Sometimes we get so caught up in our, you know, in a sense, sort of misbeliefs about ourselves that we start believing them. And you know, it's okay, Cancer. You've got Mars and Venus in Leo in your 2nd house. And they are there, these two guys, for on and off most of the month, really. And they're opposite retrograde Saturn in Aquarius in your 8th. Remember, that's the house about commitment. It's the house about endings and beginnings. There's something here about finances for you and property. You may be thinking of selling something, selling a property. You may be looking to mature some investments. And Venus, of course, is a very fortunate planet to have there. But I think what you have to look at with Saturn retrograde in this part of your chart, and with the fact that Saturn is squaring Uranus on the world stage, and Taurus is about the economy, because Taurus is about money and possessions, Uranus is in there, is that you've got to make sure the timing is right. It may not be the best time to sell a property or, you know, realize investments. You know, my over feeling for all of this, for everyone, for the whole year, is sit tight. Don't actually rock that boat. And for you, don't rock that financial boat. We have a new moon in Cancer, your sign, on the 10th. And I will tell you all about that. That's lovely for you. This is going to be like a new lease of life for you. But I'm going to tell you about that when I do the separate live video for the new moon in Cancer. The full moon is in Aquarius, where Saturn's retrograde, and that's your 8th house, about commitment, and that's on the 24th. But I'll come to that later in the month again when I do that live. My key word for you this month, Cancer, is faith. Have faith. Okay, thank you for joining me. Hi, Leo. So this is for the Sun in Leo or for the Ascendant in Leo. Wow, Leo. Your public image, or your sort of profile on the big world stage, is quite large at the moment, if that's the course in your life that you're pursuing. Because with Uranus in Taurus in your 10th house, we're going to see lots of Leo ascendants and Leo sun signs that are kind of making their mark on the world. It would be interesting to do a survey on world leaders and see how many of them are Leo, or just, you know, politicians in the various governments, and what signs are getting kind of that high profile image. But of course you do know, Leo, that because we have this ongoing Saturn-Uranus square all year, that with Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, which is your 7th house of significant relationships, this for me is really asking you to slow down. Saturn for me retrograde here is actually saying to me, you need to give a little bit more attention to your significant relationships, your friends, the significant people in your life. Try and get a balance, Leo, so that you don't alienate people that have really been rooting for you. You know, please get a balance, Leo, and give them some attention too. So, in your 8th house, which is the house of endings and beginnings, transformation, commitment, it's Pisces for you, and you've got Jupiter and Neptune retrograde here. Now, Jupiter expands, but it's retrograde. It's just dipped its toes into Pisces to see what the area's like. But, you know, Jupiter likes Neptune because Jupiter likes Pisces because Jupiter co-rules with Neptune, Pisces. So with this expansion that Jupiter is bringing in, I think it's bringing in some lovely opportunities for you to maybe close some things and open other things up. Opportunities to commit, maybe. But they're retrograde. So it's like you've been having a little look and now perhaps you're just retreating a bit to pause and ponder on things until they both go direct in October. Now, the interesting thing is that Mercury in Gemini in your 11th house, which is the house of hopes, dreams, wishes, larger groups of people, Mercury in Gemini is squaring retrograde Neptune in Pisces in this 8th house of transformation and commitment. So be careful that information you give is clear, because Neptune can sometimes make it unclear or deceptive. Or it may be that information is given to you that you really have to sift through to find the kind of truth of it. Let's just move on and look at your sign, Leo, because you're going to have Mars and Venus in your sign for this month. And how super cool is that? Because you're flying. You're going to be firing on all cylinders. But be careful, Leo, because they're both going to be opposing retrograde Saturn in your 7th house of significant relationships. I really feel, in all seriousness, this is about just taking a step back, because Leo, you can be quite full on. You do like to have center stage. And I do feel that with Mars and Venus there, you are going to be shining. You are going to be looking radiant, and people are going to be attracted to you. But it feels as if significant people in your life may feel a little bit left out. So try and remember, Leo, it's not always all about you. Remember, life works in partnership. We are all part of the divine. We're all part of this huge divine mind. We're all part of the collective. And remember that there are people that really love you, that do wish well for you, but don't make them feel left out. So we have a new moon in your 12th house on the 10th in Cancer. But I'm not going to talk about that now, because I do a new moon video a little bit later in the month for that lunation. But it will be a new opportunity for you to go within, and I think actually freshly come out in a much more nurturing kind of way, as if you've got to a point where you're able to see what you need to do to in a sense make yourself as agreeable as possible to others. Not that you're not. The full moon on the 24th is in Aquarius in your 7th house. So actually that will be significant within certain relationships. There may be comings and goings, there may be big changes, commitments. Let's see, because again, I will talk about that later in the month. Your key word this month, Leo, is chill. Please, just slow down. Take it easy, smell the roses. Just take it easy, Leo. Breathe. Breathe and chill. There you are. You can have 2 keywords. All right, Leo. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Virgo. So, this is for the Sun in Virgo or for the Ascendant. Let's see what's going on for you this month. Well, I'm going to start off with talking about your 9th house, because this is the part of your chart to do with learning, teaching. It's about higher-minded things. It's about knowledge. It's about truth. Now, it's the sign of Taurus for you, which is also about value and possession. So this tells me that things that you value are actually very much to do with truth and seeking out the truth in the subjects that interest you. And because we've got the planet Uranus in this part of your chart at the moment, Uranus will be disrupting and upturning the apple cart. And for the Virgo personality that wants to kind of just get everything in order, it's as if Uranus keeps going, aha, but I'm going to show you another way. And so I just think that all year this has been causing you quite a lot of frustration. Now, Uranus is in a tight square still and will be all year to Saturn, that is now retrograde in Aquarius in your 6th house of day-to-day routine. You know what I wonder whether you should do? Perhaps Uranus is actually asking you to change your routine, to do something different, to view whatever it is you might personally be wrestling with from a different angle. Because maybe if you look at it with a different sort of sight, it's like when we get that eagle sight and we look down on the earth and realize that we're just like little ants running all over the place, that we can sort of see a different perspective. So I wonder if there's something that is kind of ongoing in your life that you really need to get a different perspective on. But let's move on to your 7th house, Pisces, because the 7th house is very much about your significant relationships, your partner in crime, your soulmate, if you have one, your husband, your wife, your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, close friends. It can be business associates, but it's always about significant people in your life. And because we have the planet Neptune retrograde here at the moment. Now, Neptune rules Pisces, and you've had this energy for some time going through this part of your chart, which will have been quite challenging for you, because it doesn't help in trying to see things clearly with regard to relationships. Now, Jupiter is also retrograde in this part of your chart, just at the beginning of Pisces, and then we'll move back into Aquarius for a while till the end of the year. Now, Jupiter's little sojourn into your 7th house of Pisces is a little bit like Jupiter is saying, Okay, I'm going to bring you some opportunities to change things with your relationships. Mercury in Gemini in your 10th house, which is all about your career, your path in life, your kind of soul journey. Gemini and Mercury are all about communication, social media, writing. Mercury squares Neptune in Pisces for the first part of this month. So somehow this tells me that there is some kind of news or communication you are trying to put across to a loved one that they just aren't getting. And whatever you do, you just cannot seem to get your point across. Don't worry, because Mercury will move out of Gemini on the 12th into your 11th house Cancer, and then we'll see what unfolds from that. But that's been quite frustrating for you, just trying to make people understand what you're talking about. Let's also look at what's happening in your 12th house, which is Leo, because you've got the energetic planet Mars there, which is about aggression, energy. It's about sexuality. It can also be war and arguments. Are you arguing with yourself? Because this house is about the self. And you've also got Venus, the planet of love, relationship, attraction, value, cozying up to Mars in this part of your chart for part of the month. So it's giving you a nice opportunity to go within, to see what it is that you can dig down deep for, to learn about yourself. The only difficulty is Saturn over there in your 6th house of service and day-to-day routine that is retrograde and opposing these two. So that may just, it feels like it's just difficult at the moment for you to see the wood for the trees. All I can say is, Virgo, is this will pass. There's a new moon on the 10th in Cancer in your 11th house. That will be super nice for you and give you a chance to kind of perhaps launch into something new or see things with new eyes. And the full moon this month is in Aquarius in your 6th on the 24th. And I think that will give you a chance to change and bring closure to certain ways that you've been operating your day-to-day routine that really don't serve you anymore. It's time for change, Virgo. And your keyword, words actually, I've got 2 for you for this month, are second chances. And that, you'll have to decide what that relates to. Could be relationships, but it could also be work or something you're working on. Thank you for joining me, Virgo. I hope this has helped you to see how this month can unravel for you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Virgo. Bye for now. Libra. So this is for the Sun in Libra or for the Ascendant. How are you faring, Libra? Let's see what's going on for you this month, because I think it's been quite tough for you in some ways. You've got this energy of Uranus, which is the sort of the great awakener, the planet of the unexpected and shocks and surprises, in your 8th house, which is Taurus. And it's about transformation. It can be about other people's money. And because it's been squaring and will be ongoing with this square throughout the year, to Saturn, our planet of restriction, in Aquarius, in your 5th house. Now, the 5th house is about fun, partying, playing, and it feels like everything comes at a price. And Libra, I think, you know, all the things that have been going on over the last 18 months have been quite tough for you. So you've tried to make the best of it, and you have been working hard at creating things to do which are fun and enjoyable, but everything has a cost, or everything has a price. And so I think this, you know, with Saturn retrograde at the moment, I think you've just got to be mindful of your budget. Okay, well, we have, you see, Jupiter and Neptune are retrograde in your 6th house, Pisces. Now, the 6th house is very much about our day-to-day routine, our day-to-day work. It can be about service to others. Now, you've got Neptune here, and both Neptune and Jupiter are retrograde, and they both co-rule Pisces, which is very much about the inner you. So in this part of your chart, there's so much of you that you keep to yourself. And you keep to yourself very quietly about the routines that you do, Libra, and the things that you like to sort of, you know, to see things in the way that you like to see them. And I do feel that Jupiter is just being a little bit of a, being a bit of a joker almost here, because Jupiter is going to expand and give opportunity to maybe make some changes. And Neptune, I think, is making you feel a little bit kind of, you know, sort of not quite clear about how you want to move forward with your routines. And also what's interesting is that transiting Mercury in Gemini. Now, Mercury is all about communication, writing, speaking, talking, letters, and social media. And it's in Gemini in your 9th house. Now, your 9th house is all about travel. And it can be travel of the mind, but it can also be literal travel. And this is probably something like a lot of people at the moment that you would really like to do. And it's Mercury is squaring Neptune that's retrograde in your 6th house. Let's see what this means. Well, I think what this means is that you're just getting very frustrated with the lack of clarity for travel and the routines involved in travel. It's like the goalposts keep changing. And, you know, in a sense, I don't have to be an astrologer to know that, because I just have to watch the news to know that the goalposts keep changing with anyone that is trying to embark on any kind of travel at the moment. So what have we got to compensate for all of this? Because it's just frustrating. Mars and Venus are in Leo currently, and they're in the area of your chart connected with your hopes and wishes. I hope I travel. I hope I just get out of this country. So there could be all sorts of things going on like that. Now, Mars is all about energy, action. It can be aggression. It could be you getting pretty fed up with the fact that things just aren't moving the way you would like them to. Venus comes in with some sort of soothing balm to just kind of go calm down, because Venus is all about relationship, attraction, love. So it may be you have someone in your life or friends that just say, cool it, it'll be okay, it'll be okay, it will all change and get back to some kind of normal. But both of these planets, Mars and Venus, are in opposition to Saturn in the 5th. And Saturn is retrograde. Now, the 5th is all about, you know, wanting to have fun and play and party. So I think it's just, and I know it's frustrating, Libra, it's just saying, not just yet. Things are just being slowed down a little bit more for a while. So what can we do, Libra? Well, we have a new moon on the 10th in Cancer, and that's in your 10th house of your kind of public profile. So I think we're going to see a new you, and probably you'll be feeling a lot more well disposed towards the world. So that's not long to wait, the 10th of July. And the full moon this month is in Aquarius and in your 5th house of Aquarius, and that's on the 24th. So that actually, even though you might have to wait till the 24th, may see some closure on something that you would like to do. So may see an ending and kind of an initiating of getting things moving. So fingers crossed that all comes to pass. I have a key word for you, Libra, for this month. Breathe. Just breathe. Libra, bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Scorpio. So this is for the Sun in Scorpio or for the Ascendant. How are you getting on, Scorpio, with the presence of Uranus in the sector of your chart that's connected with close personal relationships? Are you experiencing upsets or turmoil or disruption, surprises? Because with Uranus in this part of your chart, which is Taurus, and, you know, Taurus shows me that actually what you look for is loyalty and stability in a relationship. And with Uranus there at the moment, you're not going to find that very easy. And of course, Saturn, which is in Aquarius, which is retrograde, and that's your 4th house of home, just means to me that you really are aware that there are tensions between home life, your relationships, your significant people in your life, which are just really quite difficult and tiring. But let's see what else is going on for you. It's not all doom and gloom, Scorpio. So we've got, of course, Neptune and Jupiter, both co-rulers of Pisces, which is your 5th house, and they are both retrograde. Now, the 5th house is very much about fun, parties, romance, all sorts of exciting things like that. Children, creative pursuits, art. You know, if you're into the theatre and the music, then it would be you performing. So this, as I say, is the 5th house for you. So they're both retrograde. So I wonder if something's coming back into your life that, or someone that hasn't been around for some time, that it might just sort of, I don't know, throw a bit of a spanner in the works. So that's just something to be mindful of. And Jupiter in this part of your chart is just giving you a taste of what life's going to be like next year when Jupiter moves fully back into Pisces and your 5th house and brings luck, opportunity, possible new romantic partners. But it could really be quite an exciting time for you, Scorpio. Now, let's also look at Mercury. Mercury is in Gemini in your 8th house. Now, the 8th house is very much about transformation. It can also be sexuality, and it can be commitment. Now, Mercury in Gemini in this part of your chart is being squared by that retrograde Neptune in Pisces. So I think that something is not clear, and there may be a situation that you're really talking about a lot and want to kind of bring some kind of conclusion to. And for me, Neptune is just not making the way clear. There's deception, there's lies, there's just difficulties around whatever that particular situation is for you. It's not always to do with very close personal relationships. It could be also to do with finances and, you know, how you manage joint finances, and that maybe someone is not being clear with you about their financial situation. Just to sort of bear in mind. Now, in the area of your chart connected with your soul journey, your career path, your public image, Leo, which is the 10th house, we have Mars and Venus there. Now, Mars, of course, is all about energy. It's about action. It's about it's actually about sexuality, and it can also be aggression. Now, Mars is going to be cozying up to Venus here. Now, Venus, in terms of your career, will be bringing in maybe an increase in what you earn. There could be some kind of, you know, sort of just boost or bonus. And Venus and Mars cozying up here, I think Venus is going to be shedding her romantic kind of attraction and attractiveness onto Mars to just kind of keep the balance, because they are masculine and feminine. The other thing is you could, of course, meet somebody through your work. That becomes quite significant in your life. That's another thought. But both of these are opposed by Saturn down there in Aquarius, retrograde at home. So this is something about your home life, and a clash between what's going on at home and what you want to do to get yourself out there on the kind of world stage, so to speak. We have a new moon in Cancer on the 10th in your 9th house of travel. So maybe there will at last be an opportunity to visit family, or a family member may come to visit. And the full moon this month is in Aquarius on the 24th, and that's in the 4th house, which is your home life. So that will see some kind of decision made about your living space. It may see closure, it may see a family member coming or going. There will be something about that nature of things. Now, your keywords for this month, Scorpio, are: don't believe everything you think. Very cryptic, eh? So something to bear in mind. Thank you, Scorpio. So I will see you next month. Thank you so much for joining me, and bye for now. Sagittarius. This is for the Sun in Sagittarius or for the Ascendant. How are you getting on with your day-to-day routine? Because you have, of course, got Uranus in Taurus in the part of your chart, the 6th house, which is very much to do with your day-to-day routine. It can also be health and service to others. And I get this sense, because we're going to have this ongoing, difficult, harsh angle from Saturn in your 3rd house of Aquarius, which is all about communication and short journeys, there just seems to be constant disruption to your day-to-day routines and journeys. And I think this wears you out, Sagittarius. I think you do find it quite tiring. And I think really what Uranus here is telling me is that be mindful of your health, pace yourself. Saturn is about timing and taking things slow. Saturn is retrograde in this part of your chart at the moment. So I think Saturn, by making this square to Uranus in the 6th house, is actually saying, just take it easy and slow down a bit. Now, we've got both Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces, retrograde. And this is the area of your chart connected with your home and your close family. So what does this all mean? Well, there may be some confusion to do with who's going where and where they're living, and maybe it's about, you know, a teenager at home wants to move out, and all sorts of interesting scenarios can be born out of this energy. Jupiter there tells me that there are going to be opportunities to change how you live and how things work within the family, and to perhaps dispel some of the smoke and mirrors that Neptune will put into your kind of home and family life, so that you're not always clear who's doing what, who's talking to who. And because Mercury in Gemini in your 7th house has been making a square to Neptune for the first half of the month, there may be some serious talk that you need to have with significant people in your life to just kind of clear the air and sort out any misunderstandings. So let's also look at Mars and Venus are currently in Leo in your 9th house. And this is the area of your chart connected with travel, teaching, higher knowledge. It can be inner travel, travel of the mind, not just physical travel. I think Mars is telling me you want to travel, you want to get out there, and you just would like to just spread your wings and shoot your arrows and just go a bit further afield than down the road and back again. Venus is telling me that it feels as if you're quite a powerhouse at the moment with these two here. If you are, say, in the teaching profession, you will be absolutely on point. You will be almost strident to the point that people are going, ooh, okay, I think we've got the message. And what's interesting is that Saturn in the 3rd in Aquarius, that's retrograde, is in opposition to these two guys, to Mars and Venus. So I think Saturn is saying, just slow down a bit and don't get too forceful and feisty with whatever it is you're trying to put across. You know, it may be that you're working on something that, you know, some kind of creative pursuit that, you know, maybe you're working on a production and hoping that eventually, you know, the theatre land will open up and you can launch your project on the audience. So these are all the kind of things that you can expect with this energy. Now, the new moon this month is in Cancer on the 10th, in your 8th house of, this can be other people's money. And I think for you with this moon, which I will go into more detail with when I do the live new moon on Facebook on the 10th, or just before the 10th, actually, I will do it. And I think for you, this is something to do with perhaps, you know, sharing something or opening something up with someone else to sort out your finances. So some kind of energy around that area. The full moon is in your 3rd house on the 24th in Aquarius. And I think there may be something to do with a particular kind of piece of work or journey that you make that you actually want to stop. So you find a way to actually, you know, because I'm thinking about Uranus in your 6th house, Taurus. And Uranus there is really, because it's squaring Saturn in Aquarius, it's saying enough is enough. And I think for you, Sagittarius, you've got to somehow be aware of timing. Remember, it's all about timing. Your key word for this month is patience. So I wish you patience. Thank you, Sagittarius, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Capricorn, for the Sun in Capricorn or for the Ascendant. Have you been super busy? because you've had a taste of what next year could be like. I'll tell you why. The planet Jupiter has moved out of your second house of finance, Aquarius, into your third house, Pisces, which is all about communication, short journeys. It's about the internet, it's social media. It's busy, busy, busy. And it will have been bringing, and will do next year, bring an abundance of opportunities to improve your local environment and to really feel very comfortable where you are. Jupiter has just gone retrograde because Jupiter will move back into Aquarius at the end of the month. But what Jupiter is doing is giving you just a taste of what you can expect. So in a sense, giving you a heads up on how to prepare for next year. And also we've got Neptune retrograde in this third house of Pisces. Neptune, when it's retrograde, it can bring misunderstandings, let us go astray, just sort of miscommunication. And because Mercury in Gemini in your sixth house, which is about your day-to-day routine, it's squaring Neptune for the first part of the month until the 12th, when it will move into your seventh house, Cancer. Now, while it's in this hard, difficult angle to Neptune, it just means you've got to be really super on the ball about news that you get. Otherwise, there'll be missed appointments, missed dates, it can create a little bit of chaos for you and things going missing and just not seeing things clearly. It'll be much easier for the second half of the month and next month when Mercury has moved into your seventh house of significant relationships, Cancer. Let's also look at your eighth house. Now, the eighth house is Leo for you. And this is all about this house, transformation. It's about beginnings and endings. It's about joint resources, like joint finances. And Saturn, who is your, of course, ruling planet, is currently in your second house, Aquarius. Now, Saturn is retrograde too, and is making an opposite angle to, so it's in opposition to the planets Mars and Venus, newly arrived in Leo in your eighth house. Saturn is about slowing down and structure in your finances whilst it's here in this second house. Mars and Venus opposite. Mars wants to get going, wants to get moving, wants to activate things. Mars can also be irritation and frustration. It can also be sexuality, especially as Venus is in this sign as well, cozying up to Mars, and we've got a nice balance now of masculine and feminine. So, you know what? This is an action-packed month for you, Capricorn. I think all the sort of areas of your life are really going to be very full and sort of like firing on all cylinders. So you're going to really need to pace yourself. Because remember, we've still got this Uranus square, and that's in your fifth house, which is Taurus, which is all about play, amongst other things, romance, fun, creativity. And this is making a hard square to Saturn in Aquarius in your house of finance. So I think you have to remember that everything comes at a price. There's no free lunches. So if you want to party, you have to pay the price. So it sounds a bit somber, but Capricorn, actually, you're very stoic and you are usually able to set yourself firm boundaries when things get a little bit sort of out of control. So the new moon this month is in your opposite sign, Cancer. So it's on the 10th of July, And this will bring new opportunities for reigniting that flame of passion in your close relationship. And it'll also could bring new friends in. And if you're single and looking, it could even bring in a new relationship. And, you know, the moon will be in her own sign, Cancer. So there's something about you, Capricorn. You really look for a partner who is nurturing, who is loving, who is caring. And you can have that. And if it's been a little bit sort of not available in your current relationship just because, then this new moon is a really good time to just kind of build a few bridges or mend a few bridges and get on a better track with each other. The full moon is in your second house of Aquarius on the 24th. And the full moon for you in this part of your chart will be seeing you making some decisions about finance. But I will come to that when I do the new moon and the full moon in my separate live video streams on Facebook. So, you know, it's always good to check those out because if you send me a friend request to my business page on Facebook, which is Penny Dick's AstroCoach, then you will be notified of all the live streams I do. If not, they're always available on YouTube the next day. I have a keyword for you this month, Capricorn. It's quite interesting actually because I've based it on the fact that this retrograde Neptune in your third could just be not helping you to see things clearly. So the key word for you really is illusion. And be mindful of what might be not clear. So mindful of illusion. Thank you for joining me for your view of July 2021. I wish you well and I will see you next time. Thank you, Capricorn. Aquarius. So this is for the Sun in Aquarius or for the Ascendant. Saturn in your first house, Aquarius. Saturn is now retrograde. So it's been moving through your sign quite quickly, and now it's slowing down and moving backwards to give you a chance to kind of, in a sense, tweak the details of how you feel about you, of how you want to present yourself to the world, how you want people to experience you. Because there's so many changes going on at home, and that could be within family life and things happening to other members of the family, unexpected sort of events, shocks, surprises. It could also mean for some of you moving house or big changes in your place of residence. And this is having an effect on you and how you are and how you feel. Perhaps if you want to lose weight, perhaps a byproduct of Saturn in the first would be you'll shed a few of those extra pounds. So that could be quite good. So just be aware that this is this ongoing square, this hard angle we've got between Uranus in Taurus in your fourth house, which is all about your home and family, and retrograde Saturn in your house of Aquarius. And we're going to feel this tension all year. It was exact about a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, back in the middle of June, and on the 14th. And I remember that. Interesting day. And it's now moving backwards, and it's going to just create this tension. And there's a sort of a tension in you. It's like you're still not quite settled, but that will come, Aquarius. We also need to look at what's going on in your second house of finance, Pisces, because you've had Jupiter that co-rules Pisces with Neptune, that's also here, just dipping his toes into this area of your chart that can produce windfalls, just surprise amounts of money. But remember, because Jupiter expands, it can also expand spending. So it could be that more's going out than's coming in. So what you have to try and do with this energy is use Jupiter so that it brings in and not that it goes out. Now, Neptune retrograde here currently may mean that there is a little bit of confusion around your financial setup and how you want to change that. And, you know, that will come, that will sort itself out. We need to also look at Mercury in Gemini in your 5th house, because the 5th house is all about fun. It's about romance. It's about creativity, artistic pursuits, children. And Gemini, Mercury that is all about communication, is currently making a hard square to Neptune in Pisces in your 2nd house. Remember, Neptune is retrograde. Now, what this tells me is that I just think there's going to be unexpected expenses caused by perhaps you. It's almost like you've been sort of arranging things and talking and communicating, and let's have a party and let's do this. It's all a bit freer now. We can do things. And Neptune, it's a bit like this part of you is thinking, well, I'll worry about the cost later. And I think what I want to say is just have a heads up about that, and be careful that you don't just overextend yourself with Jupiter there. Now, if we come to your 7th house, Leo, we have Venus and Mars currently there. So this is a lovely balance of masculine and feminine energies. So really nice for your relationships. The only possible troublesome bit is Saturn retrograde in the 1st house, in your house of Aquarius, is in opposition to them for part of the time. So there could be some tension with your other half or important people in your life. They want to go one way, you want to go the other. So just be aware of that. So we have also a new moon in Cancer on the 10th, and that's in your 6th house of day-to-day routine. It can be service to others, health, can even be pets. So a new moon, maybe you're going to bring a new little furry friend into your home life. That could cause some disruption with Uranus in your 4th. So that could be something that comes with that new moon. Or it could just be that you want to sort of, it's a good opportunity to just create a better working routine for yourself. The full moon this month is in your sign, Aquarius, and it's on the 24th. I'm going to talk more about that when I do the full and the new moon live video streams on Facebook, which do get uploaded to YouTube the next day. So that'll be something for you to look forward to. But it's always nice having a full moon, I think, in one's own sign. So that'll be good. And I have a keyword for you. And your keyword is seek inner clarity. Okay, 3 words. Seek inner clarity. Really help. Thank you, Aquarius. Thanks for joining me for your July overview of the astrology and everything for you for this month. And I will see you next time. Bye for now. Pisces. So this is for the sun in Pisces or for the ascendant. So much activity in your 1st house, which is Pisces. How are you coping with it? Because Jupiter, that co-rules Pisces with Neptune in your sign, has dipped his toes into your sign and into your 1st house over the last few weeks. So you've had a taste of what this planet of opportunity can give you. You know, sometimes when it just goes over that ascendant, it can even bring a windfall. So it can be very positive to have Jupiter in your first house. You have to watch your waistline because remember, it expands things, and the first house is all about you and the self. So you just have to sort of be mindful of that. But Jupiter is now retrograde along with Neptune that is retrograde. So Jupiter's going to give you, well, I suppose what Jupiter's done is he's given you just a taster of what to expect next year when Jupiter will finally move fully into your sign. So while he's retrograde, he's just giving you a chance to kind of think about how you want to use this energy to your best advantage for next year. Neptune retrograde may be making you feel a little bit out of sorts, a bit confused, a bit just caught in sort of your sort of inner mysterious world and not seeing the wood for the trees at times, especially because Mercury in Gemini in your fourth house of home, so is squaring Neptune for part of the month. Now, Mercury is all about communication, and this feels as if there may be some kind of tension between what's going on at home and you, and how you want to express yourself in the world. So there may need to be some constructive communication to just get you through this little phase. But Mercury will move from Gemini into Cancer on the 12th. So it's just the first 12 days that you'll have this tension. So we need also just to remember that we have still the Uranus-Saturn square. And even though I will have talked a lot more about that for last month, the energy is still there, and it goes on really all this year. So Uranus is in Taurus in your third house of communication and short journeys. So there is so much going on in this part of your life. You will be rushing all over the place, unexpected journeys, missed appointments and too many appointments, double booking, but there'll be certainly a lot of activity in that part. Meanwhile, retrograde Saturn in Aquarius in your 12th house of the inner you, I think is really saying, slow down. Take time to just breathe, look and think about what is the best way forward for you. You know, Pisces, you're not going to be any good for anyone else if you don't take care of you first. So it's important to pay attention to that. Let's also look at what's going on in your 6th house, which is Leo, because this is about day-to-day routine and work, and it can also be about service to others, and it can be health. Because Saturn is retrograde in your 12th house of Aquarius and is opposite both Venus and Mars in Leo in your 6th house. Now, let me just unpack that a bit. So Venus and Mars, we've got the feminine and the masculine. So there's something about having to pull these energies to get a balance, to get something in line, to work with your day-to-day routine. Leo, of course, is about creativity and fun. So, you know, there's certainly something about your everyday life that you like to make it interesting and not just dull and routine. Now, Mars is energy, action, and I'm sure there is an awful lot of activity going on in your sort of day-to-day working life or day-to-day routine. And Venus, of course, is about relationship, attraction. It's about finance as well and money. And it feels here as if Venus is just coming in and pouring oil on troubled waters to calm down the Mars part of you that might be getting very frustrated with what's not happening, or with things that just get overlooked. And because Saturn in your 12th house of Aquarius is opposite, Saturn, I feel, is really asking you to slow down. To slow down and to pay attention to you. Otherwise, you are going to feel really restricted in yourself. You're going to feel like you've made a prison that you can't get out of. So try and see how that might be appropriate to you or fits in with your particular lifestyle. And then we have a new moon in Cancer on the 10th in your 5th house. So that will be nice, and that will bring in a breath of fresh air and some fun and festivities, and maybe enjoying family. And we have a full moon in Aquarius in your 12th house on the 24th. So this is very much about some kind of recognition, awareness, or understanding, or aha moment. You are going to see, it's like you're going to see the bigger picture. But in general, and I've got key words for you. Some of the signs have had one word, some have had a little phrase, but for you, I've got key words. And I wrote down, pour oil on troubled waters. Now, I think that's with regard to your relationships. It's with regard to you. Please give yourself the attention you need, Pisces. It's really important. Pisces, thank you so much for joining me for your July astrological overview, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a lovely month. Bye for now.